Hey everyone, it's day 2 of Howdy Big Text. So let's go ahead and let's take a look back with what we did yesterday. So we read the story Howdy Big Text, um, and then we went ahead and planned it out. Let me pull up our plan. So this is what we planned out yesterday. We talked about how we were going to break up our plans when we're doing a retail. Um, our prompt was to describe the life of Big Text. Ooh, excuse me. Ooh, howdy, big yawn, big text. We wanted to describe the life of Big Tex, and we're going to start with the beginning, the middle, and end, and basically do a retell of the life of this statue called Big Tex, right? So we talked about the beginning events, and we kind of talked about how we wanted to highlight some dates in here because dates were important. Um, and by using dates, we were able to kind of paint that timeline and that retail of Big Tech. So let's just go ahead and let's recap what we did yesterday. We talked about the beginning events in 1951. A giant cowboy named Big Tex greeted people at the Texas State Fair. Okay, so that's going to start our retail describing the life of Big Tex, and it's going to help us kind of flow and describe who Big Tex is, right? Then we move into the middle of the event. And we talked about in 2012, Big Tex unfortunately caught fire, but he was rebuilt by this company. Let's find out what that company was called again. The Snow Company, right? The Snow Company had ideas for the new cowboy. Big Tex is going to be taller. His face would move. He would be more like a real cowboy, new clothes, all that stuff. And we are going to actually take that and stretch that out in our writing today. And then, of course, we talked about the end events. And again, once again, we're starting with the date. September 26th in 2013, Big Tex was back at the state fair. He was rebuilt by the Snow Company, and guests can now visit and see him, talk, and of course, wave. So I'm going to go back. I want to mark up that text again and just kind of walk through that because today we're only going to actually plan out the first detail. We're going to set our writing up with a topic sentence and our beginning events. And then you are going to be doing the middle and end events on your own. And I'll take a look at your writing, or your teacher will take a look at your writing once you send it over. But today we're just going to plan out the first one because I want to see how you stretch it out on your own. So let's go back and let's talk a little bit about in 1951. Let me get my highlighter tool here. So we learn about in 1951 that Big Tex greets people at the state fair. Let's talk about some things we want to definitely put in our writing, and then I'll let you do some of that on your own as well. Whoops, let me scroll down here. So let's start here in paragraph 1. We know that Big Tex, is going to be at the state fair. We underlined this yesterday. In 1951, the state fair president bought Big Tex. He thought it would be nice to have a big cowboy as a symbol for the Texas State Fair. Now, if you don't know a lot about Texas, it's full of cowboys, real life cowboys, right? So it's going to be something that represents Texas, and that makes sense that they would want Texas to be the fair to be represented by a giant statue. But we can put that in some of our schema, some of our background knowledge. We could also, if we wanted to describe Big Tex, we could go ahead and describe kind of what he's made out of: metal, paper, cardboard, and glue. And he's 52 feet tall. I kind of like that idea. So, we want to really paint um, Big Tex, a picture of him to our reader. All right. Let's see if there's anything else we want to put in here. I'm looking at it. Do you see anything else? Maybe this part about here, 1953, Big Tex could speak. We could add some of this in about our in our intro. And then we definitely want to stop here. I'm going to draw a stop line. And this is like we said yesterday. This is the middle. This is the part where you're going to start writing on your own today. Put a smiley face. But let's go ahead. Let's get started with the beginning. So why don't you go back? Let's start with our topic sentence right now. Remember, we don't want to just flip this question around. We want to draw our reader in. So let's write a topic sentence. So I'm going to write: Big Tex is a statue that greets people at the Texas State Fair. Now, it doesn't 100% align with the prompt here. I'm not going to put anything about it. I'm going to describe the life of big text. But because we're doing a retell, we can kind of vary our topic sentence up. Big text is a statue that greets people at the Texas State Fair. And we can still tie everything back to this because, once again, we are doing a retell here. We're describing Big Tex's life, and we're going to talk about his life. And this is the prompt is a really good prompt to kind of end with. We can say something along the lines of, when we're doing our concluding sentence, Big Text is a fiction, a statue that is in Texas, and something along the lines of an interesting statue, like we've been doing in our writing. Okay, so again, your topic sentence vary it up. Don't just reflip the sentence for this one and say, "I'm describing the life of Big Tex." Say something about Big Tex being a statue or a cool statue or something to draw your reader in. I'm really excited to see what you guys do with this when you start stretching these things out. Okay, so we're going to do beginning events today, and then we're going to stop. You're actually going to do middle and end on your own and submit that work on Seesaw, and then I'll take a look and get some shout outs next time we come back together. So let's start with, we have in 1951 a cowboy named Big Tex. So this is where we kind of need to do some framing, right? We need to take this information that we came up with in these paragraphs here, and we need to kind of talk about Big Tex. So we said we were going to start with the date. Let's start with the date. So let's say 1951. Giant statue. Oops. Read it. Read it. So I'm going to start with in 1951, a giant statue greeted people who came to the Texas State Fair. Now I'm going to really get into and start stretching these details out. I'll talk about how big he was. He was placed by the entrance. He could speak. And let's talk about why, of course, why he was there. Let's say Big Tex was a statue that stood 52 feet. Is it 52 or 51? We will make sure this is right. So we're going back you're going back to your text. 52 feet. Okay. So 52 feet tall and was made out of, and then we can go ahead and go back. You've gone back to that, make sure everything's accurate. Metal, paper, cardboard, and glue. Okay. Metal, paper, cardboard, and glue. Metal, paper, cardboard, and glue. So again, we're stretching out all this background knowledge. We want to make sure that the reader understands who in the world Big Tex actually is. All right. So now we've talked about is a statue greeting people at the Texas State Fair. Big Tex was a statue that stood 52 feet tall and was made out of metal, paper, cardboard, and glue. We talked about how we also want to tell people how he could speak. So he's pre-recorded words that play over the loudspeaker, that his mouth moved, his words plays, his mouth moves like a puppet, open, and close. So let's talk about that again. We're just stretching this writing out. We're whoops, painting a picture for our. You want to do? Okay, there we go. Painting a picture for our reader to know who Big Tex is. So let's go and let's talk about that. Okay, so this is just the beginning part of my story, right? Let's make sure there's an indent there. Starting with the topic sentence, Big Tex was a statue that greets people at the Texas State Fair. And now we're talking about the beginning events, right? From here down, whoops. From here down, this is all just our beginning, all the beginning pieces. And we have, let's see here, it's got our sentences. 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 5 sentences. 5 sentences for just that first piece. So if we stay and count the topic sentence, that's 6. So let's do 5, 10, 15, 16-ish, 17-ish sentences you should probably have for your writing. Whoops. This is a larger piece of writing because we're doing a retail. Most of the information you need to stretch out is actually in the middle when Big Tex burns down and he is rebuilt. So there's a lot of stuff that you can stretch out for this writing. Reminder, Big Tex should be capitalized because it is a proper noun. In this case, it's who we're talking about. Microsoft Word doesn't think that, but that's because it's not a real person. So we're actually going to end the video there today, boys and girls. What I want you to do on your own is I want to make sure that you're writing your own writing. And it looks like everyone was submitting stuff on Seesaw. But I want to make sure that you are writing middle and end events on your own with a concluding sentence. So let's just put a little note in here. You're going to write the middle, and the end, and concluding. Whoops, I spelled that wrong. Concluding sentence. Okay, so you need to do these 3 things here. Again, you should have, let's say this should be about, middle sentence should be about, I would say like, let's say 4 to 5 sentences. The end's probably not going to be quite as long. Let's say at the probably like 3 to 5 sentences. Again, a lot of the stuff is when it happens in the middle, and then the concluding sentence is one sentence. So just to kind of give you an idea about how much you should be writing the retail. Okay, so I'm really excited to see your work. We will be moving on to a new plan come Thursday. But after this, I actually am going to take some of your writing that you upload and I'm going to share it out. And I'm going to pull some really nice writing and highlight some nice writing. So be on the lookout for some cool shout outs that I'll actually print your work out and highlight some stuff or show you on the computer your work. That's all for today, folks. If you have any questions about anything or uploading to Seesaw, just shoot me a text, an email, GChat me. And it's been really great hearing from all of you. Bye, everyone.